Hey, this is Gary Padana. I'm coming to you from Montana. I just did a Zwift race this afternoon at 12 o'clock my time that was hosted by Ryan Condon. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. It was a mass start, all categories, A through E, group race, which is pretty cool. You don't get to see those too often. It's my favorite way to ride. I just like one start, and you ride with the whole field, and then you get one massive finish, and you see how you place against everybody else. The category enforced races aren't always so filled. You get broken down by category, and it's just not as much fun. So when I saw this pop up, I definitely wanted to check it out. I've gone up Alpe d'Huez a handful of times already, probably like 4 to 6 times. I'm not sure exactly. My PR heading into today was a 44:57, and I believe that was during one of the Zwift games. There was one where there was like a 40 or 50 minute lead in, and then you got to the climb. So I was hoping that maybe today, with a fresh start and not too much of a lead in, that I might be able to get a PR. And it turned out, it worked out really well, actually. We'll see here in the race how it goes, but I was feeling good. We started at 12 o'clock my time, which is not something I normally do. I usually ride in the evenings, so this was a little bit different. I also rode a race last night, so I was slightly tired, but it was a great race. Felt good about that. Let's get started on the video here, see where we're at. Drop it in here at the start. So as usual, one thing I always do is I have my Hammerhead Karoo 2. I set that up and so I can keep track of metrics for my power pedals. A lot of times I just want to be able to see what my average power is, and that way I know if I still have some gas in the tank. A lot of times on Zwift you don't really get a sense of what's happening because it's just instantaneous power. I know there are some things like sauce that you can use, but I find just having the head unit in my hand and being able to hit lap times and stuff like that really works well. So I'm on my bike here. I usually just ride in shorts and no shirt with a fan. It's a good way to stay cool. I'm in my basement, so we're looking at like 62, 63 degrees or so. Pretty cool down there. And then I usually wear my cycling glasses because why not have pretty consistent flow, So we get started off here. Things are looking pretty good. It was a good field of riders. We all kind of stuck together. There were at least probably 50 of us when we got to the start of the Alp. And as we started climbing, I could tell already there's going to be a pretty good group here. So we had at least I would say 20 to 30 people who were hovering in the 3.5 to 4.5 watts per kilogram range. And if anybody's curious, me personally, I weigh in about 169 pounds, so somewhere in the ballpark of about 75 kilograms. I weigh in pretty often and update accordingly. I weigh in the mornings, and whatever happens after that, that's just part of doing business. So the race started out pretty good. There's a guy I recognize in here, Dale Seaton. He's a really strong rider. You can see him right there. He actually went on and had an uncontested victory, and then slots 2, 3, and 4 were kind of up for grabs. So we started riding along. I actually got quite a few PRs on these initial segments, and I was feeling really good about that. I thought, hey, if I can keep this up, this might be a new PR. Surprisingly, my heart rate stayed pretty consistent. I was in about the 140s. I didn't really feel like I was overdoing it. I just wanted to stay in a pace that I can maintain for 40 to 50 minutes. And you can see at the end, by the time you start looking at your 20-minute time, your 5-minute power, your 1 minute and 30-second power, they were all actually pretty consistent. Not too much variance there. There was hardly any sprinting in this. It was mostly just grinding it out. You'll notice that I stay out of the saddle the entire time, and I actually did this entire race. I find that I can make the most power this way. It's maybe a little bit more difficult, but it's just something I started doing in my training a long time ago, especially on the indoor trainer. And I get into a rhythm. I almost treat it like an elliptical machine, where it's just a nice smooth motion. I hover around somewhere around 60 RPMs in my output. And if I'm doing good, if it's a good day, my 20-minute time is around 340 to 350 watts. And that's usually been pretty good at getting me into the front of a lot of races that I've been in lately. I've done a lot of the big Zwift Big Spin. I know those aren't races, they're just group rides, but a lot of times people are treating them as races, and you can tell they're treating them as races. So, I go for it, and it's a lot of fun. The Zwift Games was another one. Group rides, not technically races, but still a lot of fun, and you get people out there that you can really push yourself against. So heading into today, I kind of had a strategy that I like to use, which is stay as close to the front as possible and not let the lead group get away. And because I find that if they do get away, it's almost impossible to catch up to the people ahead of you just because of the drafting. So try and stay to the front. Obviously, a lot of times you have really strong riders out there. That's just not possible. But in this case, things were going pretty well for me. I stayed in third place most of the time. I had a guy behind me, Patrick Flanagan, I believe. At one point, I think maybe the lead was maybe about 42, 43 seconds or so. And I just keep an eye on that while I'm riding. Basically, I'm looking down the whole time and seeing who's ahead of me and who's behind me. And I'm trying to match, trying to gain seconds on the people ahead of me and trying not to lose seconds on the people behind me. And I'll watch their power too. I try and match their power. When they speed up, I speed up. And then I spend a lot of time looking at the aerial map just to see where the people are behind me and who's behind them. Because a lot of times when you're looking at the list of names, you only see the one person who's immediately behind you. And it doesn't exactly give you a lot of detail. So just looking at the map, I can tell there's maybe only 2 or 3 people behind me. So by this point, I was feeling pretty good, getting a top 3 position as long as I could hold out and keep Mr. Flanagan off my tail. So as we continue up the hill here, I think I got 1 feather and I had 1 drafting boost, which didn't really do anything, but I did use this feather. That helps a bit. I think it probably takes a few seconds off your overall time going up the mountain. But as we continue here, I'm just nearing the end of this sped up process. I'm playing this back at 8x. And just watching along right now, actually, as this goes. All right, so we got 3/10 of a mile to go here, and I'm feeling pretty good. Basically just maintaining at this point. I'm not going to make any ground on the person ahead of me. I think they've already finished, and so now I'm just looking at Patrick Flanagan, making sure 18 seconds back, can I hold him off for the rest of the ride? And he made actually a really good comeback here from about 42 seconds. Now you can see down to 18 seconds. So he was riding really strong, and actually he went up the hill faster than I did, but I think he maybe started after I did because I ended up getting third place, but he got third place on the segment for the climb itself. And yeah. I got my cat. This is Schmoopy. She's walking around trying to figure out what I'm doing here as I sip my non-alcoholic beer. All right, so I think my last time was a 44:57, and at this point I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of time because of the lead-in. So I'm at 50 minutes on the race, and by the time I get up here, I hit this finish. This actually caused a lot of confusion for people because I think they got to this point and stopped, but then didn't continue on through the actual finish line of the Alpe de Zwift segment. So yeah, third place there. 4.6 watts per kilogram for 20 minutes is really good for me. I think my record is about 4.7. So I was really happy with this performance. And then just all downhill from there. But thanks for riding. Thanks for coming along. Everybody who participated, this was a lot of fun. Ryan Condon, thanks for putting this together. I really enjoyed this race. I'd be glad to do one of these again. I'd love to come back and try it again. Maybe we can do Ventop the next time. But yeah, ride on.